Thanks, Janine. Good morning, everybody. Andrew Smith is my name. I am, as Janine has just said, head of the Renewable Energy Investment Fund. The fund sits inside the Scottish Investment Bank, which is the investment arm of Scottish Enterprise. It's a fund that is pan-Scotland, which means that we deliver the fund also for and working very closely with our colleagues in High. The fund is £103 million, and it has to be spent by the end of March 2016. It was launched October 2012. We invest in 4 sectors. I'll briefly cover the other 3. The main one, obviously, for today is marine, which for us is wave and tidal. The others are district heating from a renewable source, community projects, and a general other sector, which can touch on the marine sector. It involves interesting bits of technology, not early stage stuff, but typically things that can help to lower the levelized cost of energy. We are working very closely with a range of stakeholders, including High, including Crown Estate and John, in trying to get funding of the right type at the right time into the right places in the marine sector. When the fund was launched, it was launched on the back of a PricewaterhouseCoopers report, which envisaged a high percentage of the fund being spent on possibly 4 or so marine projects. The outcome, whether that's going to be possible, that's a developing story. The challenges that have been identified by the first 2 speakers this morning, I would completely concur with. And I do think there's a developing story for marine, which I think requires us to consider the 2 principal parts of it separately. The story in Tidal is different. It's at a different stage. The story in wave is different. They both need support. There's no question about that. And there's great appetite to offer that support to both sectors, but they are at different stages. We are one of a range of stakeholders working closely with tidal projects, and I think it's right to say that we are sharing in what John referred to a deep due diligence process now, which we're all hoping will lead to deals to be announced later on this year. And I think if we can get there, that will send out very strong messages, not only in the tidal sector, the marine sector generally, and more widely into renewables in Scotland. One of the challenges for our fund is that we have to co-invest. So, as described, the dearth of co-investors does represent a challenge for us. There are some, but they're quite difficult to find. And the challenges for the 2 sectors there are also different. So wave it's been described this morning, I think quite rightly, that the possibility of a different way of financing the wave sector going forward is probably required right now, certainly for the foreseeable future. And it's correct to say that there's been a lot of work, and that work is ongoing, involving a lot of people in trying to identify what that different way might be. The outcomes of that will emerge, I think, later this year. The fund that I deliver may be part of the solution for that, but if it is to be, then the rules and requirements sitting around the fund will require some tweaking. So the group that's involved in looking at that needs to include Scottish Government, who we run the fund for effectively, and they are deeply involved in all of these discussions, clearly. So I think my message is that we as a fund are very much open for business. We are working hard to achieve what may look like in due course, hopefully, an overnight success, in that we are hoping to be part of groups that take part in investments that will be announced later, and it tends to look as though that's just happened. Clearly, it's many months of a lot of work by a lot of people. I would say that I think the project developers in the whole of the marine sector are doing a great job. I would concur with John's comments earlier in that respect, and I think it's quite remarkable, really, that they've come as far as they have. With, if you analyse it carefully, I think relatively modest public sector involvement. If you actually analyse the amount of investment that's gone in to date and who it's come from, the amount, the share, if you like, that's gone in from the private sector, from the utilities, bearing in mind this could hardly be regarded as core to their central purpose, is quite remarkable, and I think they're to be applauded in that. But I think in WAVE going forwards, it looks like a bigger public sector ask, and that involves clearly identifying and thoroughly interrogating the size of the prize and how deliverable that is, because quite rightly, the amount of money that's spent from public funds on this area has to be fully interrogated and justified. So I think I would commend the Team Scotland approach that's taken to this. I know it's a phrase that perhaps many of you hear on a regular basis and perhaps wonder whether it's just one of those things that's said. My direct experience, and I've only been inside Scottish enterprise, inside the public sector, since June of last year, but my direct experience is that it definitely is working, and it does mean something. We work very closely on actual projects and also on strategy and policy influencing with a lot of colleagues in High, with Crown Estate. There's a lot of information sharing, and people are working really hard to try and get this done, and it's not, and it isn't easy. So I think, you know, watch this space, and would very much welcome any questions, comments from the floor as the session progresses, in the hope of getting a debate going, and would encourage you to become involved. Okay, thanks very much.